Should Washington be worried right now? Guess? Very, very worried. Because something just shifted in the Arabian Sea and almost nobody is talking about it yet. Overnight, Russian nuclear-powered submarines quietly left their patrol zones in the Mediterranean. They began moving south toward Iranian waters. At the exact same time, the USS Theodore Roosevelt carrier strike group surged into the same region. You have two nuclear powers, one maritime choke point, and absolutely zero margin for error. Satellite tracking confirms it. Russian Akula-class attack submarines and the formidable Yazan-class cruise missile subs have repositioned toward the Gulf of Oman. This directly overlaps with U.S. naval movement patterns. This isn't a coincidence. This is deliberate positioning. Simultaneously, American surveillance aircraft and tanker fleets surged into regional bases across Qatar, Bahrain, and Diego Garcia. Oh no. That's a clear signal of elevated strike readiness. The Pentagon hasn't announced anything publicly, but naval commanders know exactly what this means. This is the closest American and Russian naval forces have operated near Iranian waters since the Cold War. The implications are absolutely massive. Because the Theodore Roosevelt carrier strike group doesn't move alone. It's a floating fortress escorted by advanced Aegis destroyers, attack submarines, electronic warfare aircraft, and squadrons of strike fighters. Together, they form one of the most lethal mobile weapons platforms ever created by humanity. But Russia didn't respond with surface ships. They responded with something far more dangerous. Submarines, silent, invisible, and nearly impossible to track once they're submerged. And here's the part that changes everything. These Russian submarines carry Kalibor cruise missiles. These weapons have ranges exceeding 2,500 kilometers, capable of striking land targets, warships, and even aircraft carriers without ever needing to surface. This means the Theodore Roosevelt may already be sailing inside a Russian weapons envelope without even knowing it. The timing is no accident either. Just days earlier, Iran conducted large-scale missile drills near the Strait of Hormuz, launching anti-ship ballistic missiles into simulated maritime targets. Within hours of that exercise ending, U.S. carrier movement accelerated. Then Russia moved. And then Chinese intelligence vessels appeared near the Indian Ocean, mapping seabed transit corridors. This isn't just escalation, this is preparation. Because whoever controls the Strait of Hormuz controls 20% of the world's entire oil supply. And right now, 3 nuclear powers are positioning their most lethal assets right inside that narrow maritime funnel. The real danger here isn't a war by decision. It's war by accident. One sonar misclassification, one radar glitch. One nervous weapons officer on a hair trigger interpreting a maneuver as hostile, and suddenly, missiles are airborne. What makes this standoff even more dangerous is that submarines completely remove warning time. Surface ships can be tracked from space. Aircraft can be detected by radar hundreds of miles away. But submarines? They strike without ever being seen. And according to Western naval analysts, Russia's Yasin-class subs are among the quietest, most stealthy vessels ever built. They're capable of shadowing American carriers for weeks without being detected. Which means right now, somewhere beneath the waves of the Arabian Sea, the Theodore Roosevelt may already be hunted. Meanwhile, Iran is watching all of this very closely, because Iranian officials understand something critical. If American forces were to strike Iran while Russian submarines are operating in the same battle space, Washington risks a direct confrontation with Moscow. That's a line no U.S. president wants to cross. This gives Tehran strategic cover. Russia doesn't need to fire a single missile. Just by being there, they change the entire strategic calculation for everyone involved, and it gets worse. Chinese satellite networks have reportedly begun tracking U.S. carrier air operations from multiple orbital passes. At the same time, plain Navy surface groups have increased their patrol tempo in the South China Sea. This means America is now being stretched across multiple theaters at once. There are no carriers in the Western Pacific right now. There's one carrier approaching Iran, and there are Russian submarines potentially lurking right beneath it, with Chinese fleets watching from afar. This isn't a series of coincidences. This is coordinated multipolar pressure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The U.S. Navy is designed to dominate regional conflicts, not fight multiple nuclear powers simultaneously across separate oceans. And America's adversaries know that. They're testing the seams. They're testing response times, command and control, resilience, and escalation thresholds. And right now, Iran has become the perfect chessboard for this dangerous game. Russian naval doctrine emphasizes something called bastion disruption. The idea is simple. If you can deny an adversary safe maritime operating zones, you neutralize their ability to project power before a conflict even begins. That is exactly what Russian submarines do best. And that's exactly where the Theodore Roosevelt is sailing. Inside contested waters, inside narrow choke points. American carriers don't surge like this unless planners expect escalation. Chinese surveillance assets don't reposition like this unless the geopolitical center of gravity is changing. And Iran doesn't conduct live-fire missile drills unless its deterrence is being tested. All four signals are flashing red simultaneously. This isn't theater. This is positioning. And positioning always precedes one of two things: conflict or deterrence. Which one comes next depends entirely on what happens in the next few days. Because right now, beneath the quiet surface of the Arabian Sea, history is unfolding in silence. Silent submarines, nuclear carriers, ballistic missile batteries, strategic choke points. And decision-makers on all sides operating under compressed timelines with incomplete information. This is the most dangerous naval standoff in the Middle East since the Cold War, and almost nobody is paying attention. Yet, thank you for watching. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next breakdown. Stay informed and stay safe.